Hello, I'm Crystal Joy.
And I'm David Raz.
And this is On the Chair with Crystal.
And David.
You might have seen this on YouTube, but especially if you haven't, please stay. This is where we talk about the backstories and inspirations behind our YouTube videos. But this podcast is meant to be completely enjoyed, even if you have no idea who the fuck we are.
Yep, so even if you have not seen the videos, don't worry, you can still enjoy it. But if you want more context, you can go back and check out those videos. And it's a good time, so you should.
And today we're talking about... Can you survive the Mafia? We did a video with Chloe, who's here with us on the chair.
Hello, Chloe.
Hi, I'm Chloe. Hello.
We just finished our recording the Mafia video with Chloe. And as I mentioned in that video, that was loosely based off of something that actually happened to me. It was grossly elaborated. I never got involved with the Mafia.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, because...
Blink twice.
Yeah, blink twice.
In the video, we go through a whole bunch of like crazy, elaborate hijinks of somehow getting super involved in the Mafia. And eventually, I guess we took it over. Spoilers.
If you haven't seen it, yeah.
The entire time, like, filming the video, I was trying to guess at which point it stopped being the true story. So I'm really intrigued to know wherein lies the truth.
I was walking from home from work one day. And I don't know, I had my headphones in. I was walking. It was night, and then this dude, we're gonna call him Jesse because that's what we called him in the video, just interrupted my walk and was like, "Hi, I saw you from across the street and you're just so beautiful and I had to say hi," which sounds over the top like sus, but I had a really bad day and like nobody did that then. Like, I don't know, it was just like wasn't a happening that happened to me, so I was just like, fuck it, why not? Like, that was my mentality. I was just like, okay.
And extremely good looking.
I mean, I wouldn't say extremely. To some people, he's probably extremely good looking. I am demisexual, so, like, I didn't know who this man was, and that's all I really saw at the beginning, but he was nice and thought I was pretty, and I was sad that day, so. But many people who met him later were like, yeah, he's really attractive. And I ended up thinking he was attractive eventually, because I thought anyway. Demisexuality is complicated. What happened was he ended up walking me home. No, lies.
No, yeah.
I lied to
I was gonna
you.
say, that's not what happened.
I was a really bad kid. I got into his car.
Oh, dang.
You got to keep in mind, I was 18. I was 18 years old, and I was like in a super fuck it mentality. I know, like, now, especially in modern times, that's a big fucking no-no.
In hindsight, I guess that's true. I never thought about how bad
just
that was.
how bad that is.
You feel indestructible when you're a teenager.
You do. And also, like, I just didn't care. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just, I didn't know what I knew now about sex trafficking in New York City.
Which
not
is
that
rampant, by the way.
It is. And it's been rampant. It's not a new thing, but we all know about it now. Which then we didn't. So I just was like, yeah, sure. And he was like, yeah, I'm just in the car with my friend such and such. He named this friend. And I was like, okay, sure.
So there was two guys in there?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Listen, I was 8. I was in my youth.
I am glad you're safe.
I am too. I was an idiot kid. So I went in the car, and like the first red flag should have been like, yeah, the friend is like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and it says a completely different name than the guy gave me on the street.
Oh my God.
That was the first red flag?
Yeah.
I know, right?
I know. But I was like a block away from home, and it was raining like really hard. That was the other thing that made me think that this was a fine thing to do.
Wait, so he says, this is my friend,
Daniel.
Dan, and he's like, hi, my name's Joe.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And I was just like, that's weird. Anyway, so then we talk, we text, blah, blah, blah. And it's exactly like the beginning of the video. Like, you go on a date, and they get along, and he wrote poetry, and, like, had a Jesus tattoo, and, like, I was 18 and evangelical back then, so I was like, oh my God, that's great.
He swooned you.
And I was swooned.
Was
and he
there
had
pizza?
lots and lots of money. There was no pizza, actually. We actually never got pizza together.
Second red flag.
Yeah, honestly.
Honestly.
I was, again, lonely, and we went on a few dates, and he seemed nice, and he took me to his apartment, which was, like, the penthouse on 14th Street. And it wasn't this, like, decked out place. It's New York, so it was relatively small, but, like, it had a stairway to the roof, and the roof was, like, private.
That's pretty sick.
And he had an Escalade, a black Escalade, which are very expensive cars, and were very popular back then. And he would just like take me places and be like, here, have some fucking fancy wine and some fancy food. And anybody who has ever watched our videos, go watch the Party Every Day for 6 months video. You'll understand my mentality in that point of my life.
Fair.
Free food.
No, yeah.
I mean, also, you know, getting into the cars with strange men was kind of the primary thing that I did back then because I was going to clubs every day.
That sounds misleading.
It is what I was doing because there was like promoters and I would go to a different with a different promoter every single day, and they would take us in their black Escalade to a club and I would get free stuff. So like, I don't know, I just was like, this isn't a weird situation. I know, Chloe's just laughing at me.
Because when I was 18, I went to Sci-Fi Society and I was like, whoa, slow down. This episode of Firefly is crazy. And I gotta get an early night.
I don't even know what I was doing at 18.
I know what you were doing at 18.
You do?
Being miserable.
I was, actually. I was being
remember
miserable.
You've told me what you were doing at 18.
That's right.
Living in Queens,
I was
hating your
living
life.
in Queens, hating my life.
Yeah. Anyway, we date, we talk, blah, blah, blah. And it's, again, they're just being that, like, distant, like, not telling you, like, where they're going, not answering your texts sometimes, making plans, but then being like, oops, like, I went upstate. And, like, just...
Fuckboy stuff.
Fuckboy stuff. But I was, like I said, back then, I was deeply religious and very evangelical. And the first words out of my mouth anytime I, like, got involved with a dude is like, I love Jesus and we are not sleeping together. Deal with it, bitch. Like, that was, like, the... So if anybody was interested, it was, like... You are interested in me, and like that's it, point blank.
Because sex isn't happening.
That's most not gonna happen. Like I made it obnoxiously clear, and surprisingly, at least back then, it didn't scare off too many people. But we got closer, and then eventually, I was just like, hey, let's like I'm always spending my time with you, and like we're talking all the time. Let's just like I'm not seeing anybody else. Are you seeing anybody else? And he was like, no. I was like, let's just be official. He was like, okay. He came to the church I was going to. Like once or twice,
right?
And it was like a regular thing. But then the fuckboy behavior continued, where he just would like disappear and be gone, and like just not text back for 3 or 4 or 5 days at a time. And the excuses were the other thing that was very true. It's like my phone fell in a puddle.
He literally said
that. He really did say that. My phone got stolen. That was the other one. I dropped my phone on the street and it got broken. I had to get a new one.
So this is 3 different occasions that actually... Oh,
this
wow.
happened all the time. Like, whenever he was around, he was around. And whenever he wasn't, it was like ghost. Like, mysterious ghost. And... I didn't like that as a very communicative person, and also my love language is quality time. So like I really, really did not like that I was not being told anything and also just was cut off for 5 or 6 days at a time.
Plus those are obvious lies.
Also, those are obvious lies, like
right.
Obvious lies. I think the weirdest thing was that like he would do that and it would be very clear that I was not happy that he would just leave for multiple days at a time.
No way.
And then he gave me the key to his apartment.
Oh, that was true.
That's
Holy
true facts.
Shit.
Completely unprompted. I didn't ask for it. I didn't say we should be together more often. I was just like, you just disappear and you don't say anything and it's sad and I don't like that. And he was like, here, have the key to my apartment.
Power move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Power move.
As a young lady who knew naught of the world, even as an adult, I'm just like, what went on in his mind? Like, you don't do that unless you are involved in care in some capacity. Now, yeah, keep in mind, it wasn't for a long period of time that this was going on. This was over the course of like maybe 3 months.
It felt like a long time.
It felt like a very long time. Like, month and a half in, gives me his key to his apartment.
That's
like,
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, in both ways
yes,
of the sense.
Insane.
Yeah.
And then... I'm like, well...
Maybe that's his love language.
I go, well...
Just giving out keys.
Just, here's the key.
Yeah.
To my heart.
For all he knew, I was a strange girl. I could have, like, set his apartment on fire and robbed him blind. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Which would also be a pretty good power move.
I know.
Counter power move.
Counter power move.
Uno reverse.
Take all the pizza.
Should have. God, I should have. Actually, we did get pizza once. I lied to you. We got artichoke. He was the one who took me to artichoke for the first time.
That's a power move.
Yeah, it's a really, really good pizza spot around here.
Artichoke is freaking good.
So at that moment, I was just like, oh, this person is serious about me. They're just one of those hashtag not communicative boys. And whenever I was like, what's your job? What do you do? He would just be like, oh, you know, like I'm in college right now. And I was
in
like.
college with an Escalade?
in an Escalade in a penthouse. Yep. So I was like, okay, he must be a trust fund kid or something with no responsibility to other people.
You
But
hit it big. This is what's
yeah, so like he probably just really likes me and is not very communicative, like dudes tend to not be. You wouldn't just give the key to an apartment for somebody you're not serious about. You just
Right.
don't do that. And then he continued to disappear and continued to be weird and continued to avoid my phone calls until this one day where it got really fucking weird. Even as an adult, I don't understand what happened.
Oh.
I have no idea what happened. So he goes, hi, let's hang out. And I was like, yeah, let's hang out. He's like, I want to take you to meet my grandmother who is dying in the hospital with breast cancer.
Huh.
Yeah.
fifth date?
Like not much later than the key thing. Like 2-3 weeks, maybe a month at most.
That's crazy.
And I go
Yeah.
and I meet this man's grandmother. And he's he's like a very doting grandson, and she's like an Italian grandma. He was very Italian, I must also say. Very Italian. From Sicily, talked about living in Sicily for a while. And he goes to get her water. She's like, he likes you so much. I'm so glad that I got to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. He disappears randomly all the time, but he obviously likes me.
In fair, yeah, if the grandma says it, that's
Right?
usually like a good sign.
That's usually a sign but also really suspicious fuckboy behavior. I lost my phone. This man went through like 8 phones in like 2 months.
He's either a superhero and he can't
mafia.
tell you.
He's in the mafia.
Okay.
So then that same day, same afternoon.
He
What?
hired the grandma.
You're so right. Fuck. He hired the grandma.
Paid actor, yeah.
The grandma was a paid actor.
actor.
God
Goddamn.
damn it. The same exact afternoon, he takes me back to his place and goes, I have to cut our hangout short. And I was like, oh, okay. Why? He's like, I have to go meet my friend. And I was like, huh, okay. He's like, don't even worry about it. I'll take a few hours. If I'm done in time, we can keep hanging out. And I was like, okay. But he didn't say it was going to take like an indefinite amount of time. We might not. He's like, I'll hit you back in like an hour, 2 hours. Okay.
Okay.
So I go to the park. I'll just hang out in the park nearby. The time goes on. It's been an hour. It's been 2 hours. It's been 3 hours. He's not texting me back. I'm like, it's okay if we're canceling. It's okay if it went too long. What's going on? Just let me know. Like, should I go home? Nothing. And then I'm like, well, whatever. I'm too tired. I'm going to take my key and go wait in his apartment because he said we might hang out later. I go upstairs to his apartment and I open the door and he is in his room with a girl. And they're not doing anything. They're sitting next to each other with their laptop open, talking about something. And his face and also his phone's right next to him, by the way.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And his face is just like, you can tell there's a pit that dropped in his stomach and he was not happy. And he was like, oh yeah, we were just heading out and like really weird and really awkward. And I'm just going to go get ready. And then he goes to his bathroom or something. And the girl's just like, just so you know, I'm gay. I'm a lesbian. I'm not with him or anything. I was like, that's fine. Like, I'm like not confrontational. I'm just like, okay. Like he wasn't answering the phone. So he gave me his key and now I was going to wait. But I guess he's here.
That is weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird. So then it gets even weirder. He comes out and he says, you can stay. You can stay in the apartment. I'll come back later. He left with the girl. 45 minutes goes by. And he texts me like, hey, whenever you're ready to go, leave my key on the table. The construction people are doing work on the building and they need it to get into the apartment. They just sent me an email about it. So they need your spare key.
So he's taking his key back.
Oh, yes, he was. So then I later was leaving and I was about to put the key on the thing when I opened the door and the construction people were outside. So I was like, oh, maybe he's not lying.
Right.
And I go, oh, here you go. Here's the key. And he goes, what do you mean? And I was like, what do you mean? This is a spare key. Don't you need it? And the construction guy's like, no, we got a master key to all these apartment doors. We don't need any spare keys or anything.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So I was like, okay.
Oh, damn.
And I put the key down. I should have taken that fucking key. But I close the door and I go, and then he ghosts me permanently, does not ever answer again. I got one of my friends that he made friends with at the church who I didn't speak to that often. I said, text him for me. And he did, and he replied, which he had been ghosting me for 3 days.
Oh, damn.
So this plays out as like, a fuckboy situation. But there are moments in this fuckboy situation that you're just like, gave me the key to your apartment, you took me to meet your dying grandmother, and then fuckboy behave. It's like, it makes no sense. All the while, ooh, my phone fell into a puddle, ooh, I'm gone for 5 days upstate for my clearing my head, ooh, but, like all the time. And so like, I always had this suspicion that this man was in the mafia.
Either that or that grandma really was a paid actor.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he did take his key back, like, right after.
Right after.
Yeah.
Maybe she was like, fuck that bitch. But what's equally weird is if that was the case, that's fine. But he came back, like, 6 months later and hit me up, like, hey, I'm really sorry all of that happened. I moved to Italy for 6 months, and so I'm back, and I want to talk to you. And I was like, I personally needed the closure, so I was like, yeah, sure, do tell.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? What's your excuse? And why are you coming back to talk to me? Like, also, he got nothing out of this arrangement. Like, I was not sleeping with him.
Right.
So I'm like, what do you get out of this? Like, I don't understand on a psychological aspect. Like, I don't get it. And he had no explanation for it whatsoever. He completely bypassed it. And so I got drunk, and I was just like, are you in the mafia?
What do you say?
He got quiet, and he shifted uncomfortably. He was like, I think that's offensive. And I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to think?
That's
You have
not
money
a
that you won't
no.
tell me about.
Yeah.
I know. And I was just like, what? So you just have money that you won't tell me where you got it. You just disappear for all the fucking time. You have me meet your dying grandmother, and then disappear, move to Italy for 6 months, and then now you're back. It's not like I was sleeping with you. So he's like, no, that was never it. It was never about that. I was like, obviously you're getting nothing out of this arrangement. You continue to be absolutely fucking weird. So you're in the mafia. And he changed the subject.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Yeah. That's
yeah, probably.
That's either a guy who is in the mafia or working overtime to make you think he's in the mafia.
Right? He's going hard on it.
For like cool points or something.
I know. He's either a fuckboy who's like really committed to the bit, or he's actually in the mafia. So
Which we should probably not say this.
So
then.
that is, I mean, it's been mad years. It's been so long.
Until we find the horse head.
You're so right. That's what the video was based off of.
Holy shit.
Have you ever met somebody in the mafia?
Pretty sure my landlord.
Your landlord's in the mafia.
Oh, 100%. Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit, really? I need to know.
Yeah, I need to know that. That's crazy.
It's such a long story. I'm trying to think of the short version. Basically, I've been in this house for 6 years. In all that time, I never met the landlord until Halloween night, 2019.
Oh, wow.
At 8 o'clock at night, a dude roughly my age comes to the door and is like, "Hi, I'm your landlord." And this is like after 5 years of living here. No, 3 or 4. "Hi, I'm your landlord. Can I have a look around the place?" And I went, "No," and closed the door.
Like, absolutely not. No way.
I don't know who this guy is. Just a random man in his like early 30s.
Yeah.
8 o'clock at night on Halloween.
No,
we don't do this shit.
No.
And then I got an email from my landlord's email address that was just like, "Lol, that was actually me, and I do need to inspect the place." So he came around the next day, and he explained that basically what happened was our original landlord, who we really did never meet, had actually been dead for a year.
Oh.
What? Who have you been paying?
I know.
Well, our rent goes into an overseas corporate account.
Oh shit!
Holy shit!
For those who are not visual, like on the video podcast, Chloe made this feel like this. I'm like, that's exactly what I'm saying. Type of face for the audio only podcast people. Continue.
That's great.
So it turns out this guy had been dead for a year, and I don't know if he was meant to tell us as much as he did. But basically, he was in our living room. Was just like, yeah. So anyway, the family owns like most of the buildings in this postcode. Yours is kind of really low priority. So after the death, it took us like a year to organise who would take over the estate, essentially. And they gave it to me because I'm the youngest, and I basically got shafted because this building's a piece of shit. And we're like, cool,
like, oh,
cool.
Nice. I live here.
But I love how he said the family.
The family.
Yeah. And in my head, I'm just like, that's with a capital F. He just said family with a capital F.
Yeah.
So that was suspicious in and of itself. The
Yeah.
fact that our landlord was dead for a year, but
He's
we were
in the
still
mafia.
paying money. Yeah, 100%.
Overseas
But-
too. That's crazy.
But the plot thickens.
Oh, shit.
And this happened in the past 2 months. So we know for a fact, we know based on what he's told us,
Yeah.
that he owns most of the buildings on our street,
Mm-hmm.
including the barber shop we live next to.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So, one day I was getting my HelloFresh delivery.
Uh-huh.
And I went out in like the half-hour window that they delivered it. So they left a note on the door saying it's at the barber shop. So I was like, that's a nuisance, but fine. I walk into the barber shop. There are 2 men dressed in identical suits having their hair done at the same time, sat next to each other in complete silence. And when I walk into the barber's, without saying a word, the 2 men look at each other, look at the barbers, get up, and leave without paying.
What?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
weird.
your landlord's in the mafia, man.
That's crazy.
And I walked in on a meeting and I was just like, I just want my meal kit.
Sorry, I just want my HelloFresh.
I live
My
next
bad.
door. I'm also in the family. Hey.
Yay.
God damn.
But like,
Shit.
and then the guy, like, they were eyeing me really suspiciously, and then the guy, so there were 2 barbers. The two men in suits walked past me and out, just in silence. The 2 barbers, one goes, okay, I'll go get it, I left it in the back, and he leaves to, like, this back room to go get my parcel. The other guy does not move. He just stands and watches me in complete silence until the other guy comes back and gives me the
That's
parcel.
really weird.
Yeah, that's so
That's
Yeah.
weird.
so weird, bro.
Yeah.
How
But
about that?
it's fine.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
all
It'll be
good.
fine. It's totally fine.
Because I have a cat that I'm not supposed to have, so, swings and roundabouts.
No biggie.
There you go.
I
I was
think-
like, hey, I won't say anything if you don't say anything about
Yeah.
my illegal cat. It's all good.
It's
Listen,
all secrets here.
corruption,
All
my
secrets.
man. All secrets and corruption. Which, segue. That's primarily what I wanted the video to be about. Because like I don't know anything about the mafia.
Right.
The only thing that I know about the mafia is what have you seen the guy on BuzzFeed, like the ex-mafia man who just does interviews on BuzzFeed
No.
all the time? There's
Yeah.
this man, if you just look like ex-mafia questions and answers or whatever, like there's mad interviews of this guy who used to be in the mafia, like really high up, who got out somehow and just like does interviews now about the mafia. So like that's
Yeah.
the extent of my knowledge. And this is a fun fact about the video. That is where I got a lot of my stupid jokes from. So apparently stupid names are the norm. They don't have clever names.
It's like very obvious names.
It's very obvious names.
Very
so
literal.
he said like this guy, we call him Tony Eggs because he likes eggs. So we call him Tony Eggs.
I kind of like that. There's
Yeah,
something,
right?
I know.
like, weirdly anti-humor about it. It's like kids on the playground, just like you kick a ball once and so your name is Ball for the rest of your like, school life.
Like that's
It's just
it.
like there's no deeper level to it. I
None.
think it's kind of brilliant.
I agree.
None, which is hilarious. I was like, okay, that's going in there. Also, apparently, like the common like thing is that it fell off a truck. If you have something and like, where'd you get that
Yeah,
really
that I
nice
knew.
watch? It fell off a truck.
That I knew. That's just why I said it fell off a truck.
Yeah, that's like the common like thing.
That's
so I was like,
funny.
oh, I'm working that in there. I wanted something absurdly ridiculous to fall off of a truck.
That and pop the trunk. I don't
Pop
know.
the trunk on him. Damn, we should have worked that in there.
Pop the trunk on him. I don't know. I mean, I think it means bring out the guns.
And a single disrespect, even a little one, warrants a slap. A whole slap.
Oh, really? So like a whole slap.
A whole slap. Yeah, there's this one where that same guy was like going through mafia movies and like what's real and what's not. And there's this one where this like, I don't remember, Goodfellas or something. And the little guy like smacks him like real quick because he was like, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Like having attitude. He said, smack him in the mouth. And then he pauses and is like, that's true. Like,
You know?
that's true facts.
You know, fair enough. I kind of understand that because
Why is that?
I guess Italians and Hispanics are similar in that way. At least Puerto Ricans. I want to speak for all of Hispanicdom, but there is a sense of, at least in the lower, a disrespect kind of thing
This is going to die, my man.
where you you know, you have this level of, you need to respect me. And if you did not, and if there's some kind of slight in any way, there's kind of like a code, an unspoken code you kind of knew, you would have to be checked in some kind of way. And that could be a physical altercation. So, but a quick one. It was never like an all-out fight, because you kind of knew better to not do that. But if you did, then it was a slip up and you would get slapped or punched. Something would happen to you.
Something, yeah. The threat of violence is...
And therefore, you know, most people knew not to do it for that exact reason. So I kind of understand that. That might be a...
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. And that checks out, because when I met you, I think I'm from the South, and I think the Southern United States people would probably agree that, like, playful slaps aren't a big deal. And I think when I first met David, I did one of these, like a little playful smack. He got so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, he got so mad.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we don't do that. We don't do that.
He's like, no. No. Yeah, so I was like, I get it. They're similar. I think they are similar, Italians. And
similar, yeah.
At least Lower East Side Puerto Rican culture.
At least, yeah.
The other thing from those interviews, though, that I picked up was that the guy confirmed in a multitude of different videos that the mafia had politicians and police in their pockets in an amalgamation of ways. Now, he says he's been out for a long time. Things have changed a lot. Things have deteriorated. Maybe it's not like that anymore. I don't know. He could be covering his ass, but at least when he was in it, that's just how it goes. So in the video, I was like, okay, I don't know much about the mafia, but I do know corruption's a big, big deal.
Right.
And I mean, literally look outside.
And you can kind of see
and
that.
You can see corruption's a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 2 seconds of just turn on the news and you're like, okay, turn that back off. Everything's gone to shit. And I wanted to kind of
highlight that.
Yeah, highlight that. Now, the specific details that I put were, I don't know if the mafia does that shit. I think the mafia mostly does housing, which is why I involved housing. Like, they own housing, like Chloe.
Ah. There's some actual proof. There you go.
Well, so a large amount of speculation. Yeah. And also not the same mafia.
True. Obviously. But I do know many mafias
Unless
they might do similar stuff, because just owning housing is like a really easy way to get money without having to be busy during the day, so you can do your crimes, right?
Crimes are important.
Now, the way that I wove it is not, I don't know if this is attached to the mafia in any way, but I do know it is a legitimate problem, which is raising rent prices to make people not be able to afford it, so that people are homeless, and then criminalize homelessness and put them in jail, and then you get slave labor, which is a thing that happens. There are for-profit prisons here in the United States, and we're actually unfortunately seeing the amalgamation of something like that here in New York recently. They're like criminalizing homelessness like crazy.
They are actually,
and so that was in the forefront of my mind when I wrote it. Also, I went online like to make sure I wasn't just like talking out of my ass about my story. Almost every single like I dated a person in the mafia Reddit AMA is the exact same as my story.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's
like
wild.
Multiple people were like, yeah. So I met this person and they were gone all the time, but they paid for stuff. Now, I didn't get involved as deeply as these people did. Eventually, it did come out that they were in the mafia, and they were just like, And eventually they can just break up, and it's like never a positive, healthy relationship. I don't think I read any one of those. But it was, anyway, very similar in the early stages. So I was like, I think that man was in the mafia.
But you were young. Was he young?
He wasn't that much. He wasn't predatory level older than me.
Okay.
He was like 23.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So like I was 18, he was 23. It's still a gap, but it's not like, it's not a Demi Lovato 1729 situation.
Yeah, that's fair. Oof.
You know?
Right. So interesting enough, I did know a bit of the script. You said, what if they're in on it? And that was a very good intuition, because a lot of the times they are. And I think in the script, if I'm not mistaken, that was...
Yeah, so there was an option that in the interrogation room, if you ratted them out, obviously you die, But the thing is, the cop that arrested you did not or would not have been the one to do it. So he was a good cop, quote unquote.
Right.
So we alluded to it in the way it actually played out. It's like, yeah, get your dirty nose out of my investigation. This was never actually an investigation, you know, blah, 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 blah. So you go, you rat them out, you tell all the names, and then this person who's obviously listening in against interviewer cop, I think I named him Charles, against Charles's will.
Yeah.
Blaylock, I think I called the other one.
Yeah.
Comes in and like pushes your head onto the steel table and is like, Tony sends his regards. And then as you're like getting beaten up a little bit before I like prepare to shoot you, Charles is just like, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, if you don't get your nose out of this, you'll be next. Like, we'll kill you next. And then Charles, who's this quote unquote like good cop, who's like, no, this is blah, blah, blah. I can't believe you're doing this. He looks and turns and walks out of the room. So, I mean, that did not play out in the video, which is...
Well, that makes sense, because...
happens.
Well, Clavid,
yeah.
Clavid ain't no snitch, so...
Clavid ain't no snitch. That was in there just in case, but I mean, I don't want to run around and, like, make every single thing I make ACAB, but that was just such a good opportunity to illustrate the point. The point being was, like... all you hear is like, oh, not all cops are bad, blah, 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 blah. You can't change it, blah, blah, blah. On the inside, yada, yada. What really made me get it was like, it doesn't matter if you're a quote-unquote good cop when the thing you're inside of is rotten. You can have a good seed inside of a rotten peach. Like, you're going to have to remove yourself entirely from that peach. Or, like, even in a farm where, like, there's bacteria in the soil. You know what I mean? Like, you are going to have to completely go to a new farm to make that seed that's good work. And the thing is, the system was built as, like, to pretty much criminalize and jail free slaves in the South.
Yeah, that's true.
My point is, ACAB isn't this just, like, hateful, anarchist, everybody run around and do whatever they want thing. It's, like... corruption is everywhere, and if it's in such a system that was made to hurt so many people,
right,
the only option is to start from the ground up. And no, like, people who are like, back the blue, blah blah blah, I don't think they really think of it that way. Like, you can't change unless there's good people in there. I'm like, the soil's full of bacteria, my man. You got to go to a new farm. Strip the whole thing. And that's what I really wanted to drive home, not just ACAB, but also corruption in general and how deep it goes on all so many different levels. Anyway, these headphones keep going battery low, and I think they're going to cut off at any fucking second, and then we're going to have a really weird echoing situation.
Yep.
Well,
and there we go. Okay, well, Chloe, do you have anything that you'd like to add? Thoughts? Opinions?
Nah.
No.
I just that if you're my landlord and you're watching, no, I didn't say any of that, so you're fine.
What? Makes sense.
Not to have such a weird, abrupt ending, but my headphones have died, and we have no way to communicate with Chloe otherwise. We only have one headphone.
It's fine.
In summary, fuckboys be fuckboys, and mafia is sus, and corruption is bullshit, and sometimes you just gotta start over and eat the whole thing, like you guys did at the end of the video.
We took it over.
Yeah, we did.
Took it over, yeeted the whole thing.
We fixed it.
And we had two slices of pizza.
We will fix the mafia.
Thank you so much for coming to hang out, Chloe. I know you said at the end of the video, but do tell, where can people find you?
My name is Scarfdemon on most social things. I'm over on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual. Spelled exactly the way it sounds.
Awesome.
You got it?
Yeah. And you could find some more updates on the podcast. Twitter, you can follow us at OnTheChairPod.
Mm-hmm. Or you can follow us, us as human beings, for everything that we're working on anywhere at The Doodles. That's at the DOOTLEZ.
That's at the DOOTLEZ.
And we will be back in a month with another podcast. Who knows what that's going to be about? I don't remember what's coming out after this video.
So,
but it'll be fun, and it'll come out when that video comes out in a month. Okay.
Bye.
Stay cool, crazy coolios. Okay, bye.
Bye.